Hey. Yeah.
Yeah, what's up, dude?
What's going on? We met. Yeah. Dude. So are you at Evan's place right now?
No. I'm in my
Oh,
own place.
oh good. How long
Yeah.
has this been a thing for?
What?
How long has this been a thing for?
I've lived here since end of July, August.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I live with a buddy of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. How well do you know this buddy?
Are you at Evans? Sorry, I try to do that with a straight face.
No. 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 I tried once. I was
Did
talking
you?
to him about it. Yeah. I was talking to him
Oh,
about taking the downstairs, but for some reason it was I think it was like 500 a month as opposed to 3 something, and
okay.
yeah, I just wasn't down. But, I mean, I was down, but I didn't have.
Well, you would have been down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was at the time that you were living with him too. So to live with you, the both of you would have been
Well,
cool.
I lived there twice.
You did. That's right.
I did. So,
Yeah.
it was probably that first time.
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. No, it had to been because you were already back in Oregon.
That's
So
right.
that was my last year.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, 14 months and we haven't really spoken beyond texting, you know?
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's wild. Hang on. You remember this little fur ball?
Yeah. Gunner.
Yep. Yeah, do you
Yeah,
have a dog now? She's sleeping. There she is.
Oh, my
you're awake.
God. I only see
That's the original Rona, if you will.
right. I thought, didn't you get two? No. You didn't get two puppies. You just got Rona and then Gunner, and that's
Correct. That is all I have.
okay.
My ex and I had 2 dogs, which is probably what you're thinking of.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not really preparing much with these podcasts.
That's fine. I didn't know what to expect, so
Yeah.
you get me raw here.
Absolutely, dude. I just wanna catch up and reconnect and kind of get an update of what's been going on in your life. I know that you kind of suffered right after I moved. Unfortunately, that was the timing, but you kind of suffered a hardship with your ex, and
When did you move?
March of last year, March 2019.
Yeah, that happened end of April, and I moved out. Yeah, I moved out the end of May.
Wow, dude. I don't mean to get really personal here, but I remember one of the first times you and I spoke. We walked to what's that one place? It was the big old breakfast burritos. It was like Dub Dealer. Do you remember that?
You're talking about Mena's joint?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were in Mena's joint, and you said something that really captured my attention about you was that you had recently just had your heart broken. And I could tell by the way that you said it that you meant it. And I had just come from my older brother, who's close in age with you. He also went through kind of a horrible experience. And it's weird to me that leading up to meeting you and then leaving you has kind of been right around the time that you've suffered some hardships. And what has been your coping mechanism for getting through this? Has it been your animals? Has it been work?
Man, it's a lot of things. This isn't, those 2 times obviously weren't the only 2 times that, something. Can I swear? Am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those weren't the only times that life was shitty, man. So the things that always, help me get through shitty situations, whether it be a breakup, a fight, or family or something with a friend, is just to find something to do, right? Like a lot of people will sit and they'll mope and, they'll just continuously replay all that shit in their mind. I try to go out and play some disc golf or like go for a drive in my car. I mean, you know, I'm a big car enthusiast, so
Yeah.
I try to do things to keep my mind off stuff and just say like, look, like this isn't the end, right? There's always going to be shit that happens. You know, there's, you know, for every good, there's a bad, vice versa.
Yeah.
So, you know, driving my car, obviously having an animal definitely helped. You know, I've had Gunner for almost 7 years. That helped. I had dogs growing up my entire life. Obviously having my pup now is really helped. She was probably the thing that helped the most with this last breakup. That one hit me pretty hard. But, you know, just finding things to keep yourself happy and motivated and knowing that there's still more, right? It's like, sure, something happened, but it's not the end of the world, right? You still have more to live for. There's still more to do. There's still more friends to meet. There's still more people to meet. There's still more, you know, activities to get done. Just got to try to keep your mind off things. I mean, obviously it's always going to hit you. You know, it's going to be one of those things where it keeps coming back. It's like, you know, it's something you can't ever forget. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to always find the good in all of the bad and take that and grow from it.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, just finding things to keep me occupied.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not sitting around. You know, even getting up and making my bed and taking a shower. Like even that little thing in the morning, you know, helps your brain like spark. Like, all right, well, okay, well now what can I do? Right? Like past couple of days, I've been cleaning out the garage because there's a whole back area that was just full of shit when I moved in. So I made it all nice and organized. And, you know, it's just mind games, if you will, just things to keep your mind moving, keep it off things, and keep it going to the next step. So
Absolutely.
that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I wish I could have been there for you both times, you know, just to give you a hug. You were definitely one of the hardest people to say goodbye to hug. And the moment after hugging you, I could have broke down, but there was like 7 other friends that I'm with, so I didn't want to do that just for pride's sake, but also not to emote.
Right, I bawled my eyes out for like 5 days straight. So
Did you really?
maybe not 5. No, dude, it was sad, man. You definitely were my best friend at Compass. There's no doubt about that. You and I got real close there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't like that you were leaving. I didn't like when you were gonna leave the first time, and then you actually left the second time. I was a little butthurt. So
I know, dude.
Right, shit happens, man. You do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. And to come back here and just like see creative video endeavors pick up almost immediately was like, oh wow, like
that's good.
I wonder, I feel like I was selfish and stayed for the bachelors because of my friends, but really I just like delayed the inevitable. I think about this a lot, and there wasn't much outside of school that we were working on. You know, I moved to Chicago to continue to try some stuff, and a year after college, I ended up selling my computer just kind of out of like desperation to make some money.
And, yeah, no, I remember that.
And I was going through a lot of hardships, and I just think that I overstayed my welcome in Michigan by far. And in that, connected very deeply with my Michigan friends because you saw me go through a lot.
I did.
You helped me through a lot. You drove me when I didn't have a car. You paid for a lot of things. You always wanted to hang out. And I can never, like, I'm always in debt for that. And you're definitely not a connection that I ever want to lose personally or professionally. So
you're right. There wasn't a lot outside of Compass. And it's funny you say that because my first year at Compass, I had like 3 jobs right outside of school, just like from the very start. And, you know, part of that was being the only sound guy, right? And it was like, you know, the reason I went to Compass, aside from, I don't know, I mean, that really was the reason I went to Compass. You know, Tom was like, look, we need sound guys. Like, sure, it's a film school. And because, you know, initially I was like, I don't know shit about film. Like, I like cameras. I've taken my share of pictures. But and video. Home, like you could look through all my home movies and
Yeah.
oh, you can, you could do that someday. But it never crossed my mind. Even going to school for sound production and or sound engineering and music production, it was like my mind was always towards a live sound world, right? Like mixing concerts and being the guy in the back of the theater, mixing everything. And then Tom showed me this great opportunity at Compass, and it was funny because, dude, literally one of the first projects I had was Brian DiPiazza's film, and it was this beautiful. I think originally it was like a 40-minute cut, and it was gorgeous, and it was the greatest experience I've ever had because it was the truth that Compass promised that actually came alive, but not when it was like not when it needed to, right? Like not when we graduated, but like when we first got there.
Yeah.
It was working with kids who went to school and perfected their craft and were ambitious about it. That set was amazing. I still think it was one of the most professional sets I've ever been on. Those kids really knew what they were doing. They were really passionate about it. Brian was an amazing director. Parker was the AD. Dude, I'll never forget that entire crew. It was awesome. It was my first big experience, and I had a blast. It was a world I've never been into before. And after that, there wasn't really a lot of opportunities like that. And we were even looking too. Like I remember us all, like obviously this is what we want to do. We want to look for stuff. And like we would try to come up with projects, but there was always that like pin that we could never find to take out, right? There was always that like stopper. And I don't think we ever figured out what that was each time, but yeah, man, for some reason there wasn't that ability to do outside projects, and I don't know why. And then when we all needed to go to, to like work to do what we want to do, what we just paid thousands of dollars to learn about, it was either you go to LA or you're fucked, right? It was like, we can get you in LA, or, you can just stay in GR and just, like shoe fly, don't bother me, right? And it was really depressing. I remember being on those conference calls, thinking like, this is great, get to go out to LA, like get to get an internship. Even if, you don't want to be in LA, you still get that experience of Hollywood. And I just remember like, I don't remember the exact words, but like to paraphrase, it was pretty much like, well, I'm the liaison for LA, so if you guys want to stay in Michigan, there's nothing I can do for you. And it was like that. And it was just like, well, then why the fuck am I on these conference calls every week? Like, why did I go to school for 3 years and give you, my life, right? Like all the money that I could put towards my actual business, I just went to be told that it's either you go to LA or it's nothing, which is shitty because Michigan does have a pretty good film, like life. It really does. I mean,
true.
You look at Tom's company and he's doing well. I mean, if you look before this pandemic, right? When the world was still open, if you will. You still had plenty of projects happening in Michigan. I think the biggest thing was the incentives weren't there, so it was hard for us to get jobs here. And if you didn't want to go, and for somebody like me, who, for those of you who are going to watch this, I went to a faith-based school and I wasn't of the faith. So for somebody like me who was like, I want a job as a sound guy, it was like, well, here's a church, go talk to this pastor. It was like, we could go do this. I was like, no, like I don't want to do that. I don't want to go into the religious film world. I want to just be in the film world. So for me, there was a lot of barriers, but yeah, man, it was funny how many outside projects we didn't do. And I think it was a mix of like us not knowing how to really find the tools that we needed, and a mix of some of our teachers either going as we were in school, right? Whether they were fired or they got shit like that.
Constantly.
Or it was just like they were so caught up in what they needed to do for Compass, is they couldn't properly reach out and help us find things. And like, I'm not, trying to bash things, but as a student, it's hard when, like I said, like me, I had a project almost right when I got to school, and then 3 years later, it was like I'm still trying to look for work. So yeah, it's interesting that you said that.
I had 3 different acting teachers, and
that's right.
That is rough because you have to like get to know this person, and there are times where like,
I mean, the teacher knows you, right? They learn you, they learn your style. Like that must have been really hard.
Yeah. There are times where you have to like, Chris and Melian would want us to get on our knees and beg for something. And I was horrible at it because I didn't trust the people in the room enough to take that. I couldn't put myself out there. I've never done it. And I was like, my attempt at doing it was worse than if I had actually gone for it, I think.
Sure. Kind of that, like, I'm doing this because you're my teacher and you want me to do it, as opposed to, like, I'm an actor, here's how I act.
Yeah. I held back a lot.
Sure.
Definitely. And that was hard.
Turn on another light. Does that help? You see my face better?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, dang, I'm really dark right now.
Okay, so I remember on orientation, you were seated right next to me as we were picking names for our cohort. Yeah. What did we end up? It was some like fucking Avengers type, or
yeah, it was Avengers and shit. I don't remember.
Some stargazers or some. What was it? I don't remember. It was two like. I feel like one was Harry Potter, one was Star Trek or some shit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, wasn't it Star Trek or Star Wars or some shit?
Yeah, something like that.
Enterprise.
Yeah. But I remember making you laugh. Maybe even a couple things, but I also remember the way that your beard was freshly shaved, looked really good. I remember just like looking and noticing and really finding your appearance appealing right off the bat. I was like, oh, this guy's a good looking, motherfucker.
Single.
Yeah.
That's funny, dude. It wasn't nearly like this either. I think I was still that like clean, weird, chin strap deal.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I never saw that again. That was like since orientation. I think you just let it grow like pretty soon after that.
Yeah. I moving out here was the first time I'd ever really let it grow, and I think you're right. I don't think I ever really trimmed it back much after that.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing around with having a mustache, and then got to where I am today, which I would never cut this thing. I love it.
Yeah.
I've really fallen in love with having a giant beard, man.
Yeah, you rock it for sure. Yeah. It's funny that I am a year older than you when you started at Compass.
Are you really?
I believe you were 24 and I'm 25 now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And you're going to be 30 next month?
I am, dude. Big 3-0. So, it's glad you caught me when I'm still in my 20s, because give me a month and I'm not going to look the same.
Right. Dude, what are you going to do? Are you still going to be in quarantine, or are you going to be able to go celebrate 3-0?
I don't know, man. That's a really good question. So, rumor has it right now that things are supposed to open back up July 1st. Sorry, June 1st.
Oh, okay.
June 1st. So, if that happens, I don't know. So, the funny thing about the restaurant business is, because that's obviously where I'd go back. Well, one, we won't be at full capacity. Yep. Two, just like most places have been doing during quarantine, they're probably going to start with some sort of takeout thing.
Sure.
I was actually really confused why we didn't do that in the first place. We were one of those businesses that just kind of shut down, put all their employees on unemployment, and said, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it was weird because a lot of places in GR stayed open. A lot of restaurants stayed open for takeout. Uber, DoorDash, they stayed open for at least takeout, and they found a way to make it work. And a lot of them doing pretty well just doing their takeout business. So it was interesting that with a company that has 3 locations in Grand Rapids and multiple locations outside, they didn't stay open. That was really interesting. So, that's the plan, I assume, because one, you have to go through a rehire process, right? So you have to rehire everybody. You can't just bring everybody back.
Yeah.
You can't bring your whole staff back for 40 hours a week, right? So I'm sure it's a shit show right now. Like, how you figure out who's coming back, how much they're going to get paid, if they can still go on unemployment for half their pay. Because, like, my dad, for example, his hours got cut, but he was still able to go on partial unemployment to make up for those extra, like, 10 hours he was missing, give or take. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting, man. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to being a bartender. I think the restaurant business is the worst industry to open after something like this. You got to think about how much you're in contact with everybody and everything at a restaurant, right? Start with the door. You walk up, you put your hand on the door and you open it. If there's another door like JRBC, you open that door, right? And then the host hands you menus. Well, if they've been really busy and they can't wipe those down all the time, and obviously you're not going to be like slammed right now, but there's a lot you have to think about in terms of cleanliness, right? People sitting at a table, when they get up, you have to wipe down the entire thing, right? Chairs, legs, table, even underneath the table. Like there's so much you have to think about, and it's probably, as safe and healthy as a restaurant is supposed to be generally, it's one of the most like unhealthiest places to reopen after a virus. Like you just think about it, man. Like think about what you do when you go into a restaurant. You hold silverware that ran through a dishwasher a couple times, right? Like you're putting your hands and your butt on a chair that like some kid was probably just on, like, rubbing his nose and putting it on the seat, right? There's a lot. You go into the bathroom and you flush the toilet, and a lot. There's some good like automatic stuff right now that there has been for a while, but even that most places didn't get on board. It's like they'd have an automatic sink, but you still have to like push the paper towel. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just one of those industries where if I go back, I don't know how worth it it's going to be. Going from a bartender working 40 hours a week, making somewhat of a livable wage and paying my bills and being able to take care of my animals, to probably getting like maybe 20 hours a week, not at full capacity. You're not going to get amazing tips, right? A Saturday night could be just as good as a Monday morning. Like it's going to be a weird industry to go into. So with that said, I'm really trying to get my business as a sound guy going. Really trying to pursue that and just forget about the restaurant. I've been doing that since I was 17 and been trying to get out since Compass ended through some shit, and now kind of back. Like, dude, the funny thing is this whole break was kind of perfect. It's like student loans got postponed for 6 months. Like, yes.
Yeah.
And it's such a huge expense. So it's like, things got postponed, which was really nice. We're getting, more or less an average livable wage. I've been able to keep, on par with all my bills. Like I don't have work to worry about. I can just focus on sound, and I've been able to get some projects finished. I've been able to get a couple new projects. So it's just like, it's almost the break that I've needed forever. Right. Just like the world to stop so I can catch up. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
my thoughts exactly for my own career, for other people in our situation, whether it be restaurant and creative, because there's a lot of people who are restaurant and creative. And with restaurant pausing and still getting that funding, I feel like creatively I'm thriving.
Yes.
And I really hope that you are too with your expertise, because that's my situation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great time to just focus on the things I want to focus. Yeah.
Definitely. I've had that swirling around in my head for a while. And I don't know how vocal I've been about it, but I've desired to encourage you to really pursue sound, because I think that you are just like a magician behind with what you can hear and your attention to detail and the simple little shorts that probably wasn't even that much of a challenge for you. Like I would love to see you challenged by a project, because that's when like the real skill would come out. You know what I'm saying?
So speaking of that, I've had a project from Chris Mack for way too long, a little 10-minute film for way too long. And one of the reasons I wasn't able to get it done, the main reason, was due to some of that shit over the past year. Going through the breakup, moving multiple times, trying to get back into a normal schedule, and not having my studio for a while. When I moved back into Evan, I really didn't have a place to work. So it's kind of on a hiatus. And then, just financially speaking, things happen. But yeah, so he's really allowed me. He's been very patient, which I'm sure behind the scenes he's probably like ripping his hair out because I've been taking forever. But I finally got him a pass the other day, and I've been able to bust my ass on it and really make it like as professional sounding as I can. And I hope his goal is to really get into a good film festival. And I didn't want to half-ass this project. I've got all the time in the world. The good thing about quarantine is there's all these like cyber deals on shit. So I've been getting like free sound effects, and I've been getting like 90% off sample kits and like sound effects libraries. And so I've really been able to start building up a nice like post-production sound world. And I hope that he likes it, because I did put a lot of work, and he's kind of got that Scott Pilgrim feel to it without giving it too much away. So there's a lot of those like, fun whooshes and like cool bangs and, crazy stuff happening.
Sure.
And the funny thing is, success is always scary, right? It's like you want to be successful in things, but you don't actually sometimes want to succeed. And I think that's part of the reason that a lot of people get brought down on things. It's like, well, what happens when I do succeed? What happens when I do finish this project? And things like that. And one of the cool things for me with this one was seeing me go from how the fuck am I going to do this project for my friend who wants us to be good, to put it in festivals, to where I am now, where, holy shit, I can look at this again and hear what I've done and actually react, responsively to it. Because, like in the film world, it really does, to a certain extent, ruin films, because when you're editing in any sort of stance, you're watching something over and over and over. And a 9.5 minute film, you've probably watched that 9.5 minutes a million times. I mean, you watch it over and over and over. And especially as a sound guy, like, all I get is the raw file, is the dialogue, right? Whatever the dude is booming and mixing on set. There's really nothing else there. Sometimes, professionally speaking, I'll get things after like the visual effects guy will do things, so I'll at least have an idea of like what it looks like to get some sounds. But for a lot of student films, you really just get the raw dialogue. And so you have to sit there and listen to it and be like, all right, what is the director looking for? What kind of sounds do I need? How do I bring this to life with sound? And the cool thing about film is how much sound is important, how much it really is important. When you listen, even as a comedian yourself, when you watch comedies, how much of the comedy, how much of the laughs are actually the sound effects? You know what I mean? Like, sure, the actor could do something really funny, but there's that pause. If you put a cool sound in that pause, you get even more of an effect. So that's it was a big challenge for me for this film, was taking, David's very dry humor, because he was the main actor in it, taking his, that dry humor, that Michael Cera, that, what Chris is going for that Scott Pilgrim, and really try to bring the sounds to life. And so I like finally got to a pass where I watched it, and I had mixed everything, to a good level, to where it was like, all right, now I just need to make sure things are in place. And I smiled and I laughed at a couple spots that I haven't smiled or laughed at in a while.
Oh.
Like, it worked. That sound effect worked, right? And with that said, the scary thing with doing something like this, especially when you're doing something all by yourself, is when you give that project to the person, i.e. Chris.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there for a week and you're going, does he love it? Does he hate it?
Right.
Do I redo this entire thing? Because, like, I could have a whole different view in my head of what he wants, even though I've watched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World a million times to get an idea of what he wanted. Like, there's still that scare of, is the director going to like it? Is the production going to like what I did? What my head heard, all these things doing. So that scare of success is a real thing in the film world that I've recently kind of discovered. And I think that was a big thing at Compass, was where, like, when the film is finished, like, what's next, right?
You also don't want to get stuck as the sound guy. I remember you expressing that you're wanting to expand and direct things.
And taking on too many projects can be a real bummer, especially with sound. Because, like, if you look at a TV screen for too long, or if you're editing on a computer screen for too long, your eyes might hurt, you take a little break. With your ears, like, if I'm wearing headphones for hours and hours, it's not good to a certain extent, right? So, like, if I'm taking on projects where there's a lot of dialogue editing that has to happen, which when you edit dialogue, it's a really good idea to use headphones. I mean, it's good to use headphones to mix regardless, but
totally,
especially with dialogue, like, you really need to make sure that you're getting all those sounds out that need to be taken out, any buzzes, hums, cleaning up any weird things in the background. So when you're going from a project to project to project where they all have terrible dialogue, as opposed to I can just set up my computer and listen out of my monitors and do some sound effects and keep my ears open, you got these headphones on. And so it's like when you take on too many projects at once, your ears literally start to hurt, and you have to make sure that you space things out. Like sometimes depending on the project, I'll take, every 20 minutes or like every hour, I'll take, a certain extended amount of time for my ears to just kind of, heal, if you will.
Man.
Yeah. It's funny, man.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, because I've never just handled sound like that. I love the puzzle of editing a project, but I don't have. I took one sound class, that was at Compass. That's all that we covered, and I did not pay the proper attention because sound slips past me in films.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you're very much a visual guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And one day, take your head, like, if you have a day to just do nothing, or you have a lot of activities to do, or you're just gonna listen to music anyway, wear your headphones for most of the time. And then when you take your headphones out, kind of realize how that impacts things, right? Like, because, on a daily basis, your ears are open, right? There's nothing covering them. So they always have that opportunity to heal themselves. And they always have that opportunity to, not be suffocated with sound, if you will. When you just have headphones in, that's all your ears are getting, or whatever is in those headphones. And then you take them out and you like hear the world again, and you're like, oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, one day, just, for a couple hours even, watch a movie with headphones instead of on
Sure.
like speakers or something, and then take those headphones off when the movie's done and just be like, oh, wow, okay, yeah. And there's a lot. I don't know, it's hard to explain. But
It's like walking on a treadmill for an hour and then hopping off the treadmill. I feel like.
yeah, why did the world stop?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a crazy, crazy feeling. Yeah, so I remember before I left, you handed me a card of yours.
Nice.
I hope that that's come in handy for you to be able to just like, here's my card. Do you have a website? Do you have a YouTube Vimeo? Because I'm going to post whatever you got. I want to post in here and plug stuff. So,
unfortunately, nothing right now. It's kind of what I'm working towards. This film for Chris, once it's actually done, is going to be one thing I'm going to put on my reel. It's going to be, the newest, honestly, the best thing that I've worked on in terms of a post-production thing. I do have a location reel that I made. I had to make one because I got offered to work on a feature film out here. So I made a location reel. Just got an email today that it was canceled. So that's a big bummer.
Oh.
It's going to be my first feature film. I was really excited. But
yeah,
canceled, so that's a bummer. But I had to make a location reel for that. So that was cool. I got to go back through some old Compass projects and find some stuff I had boom operated and sound mixed on. So it was fun to do that.
Oh.
For now, I've got a location reel, but hopefully in the next month or so, I'll have a post-production reel and then a website as well. I'll have like pictures and videos, links to things. So I do have a Vimeo, but the only things that are really on it are goofy things that we did at Compass, like that confession that whatever it was called. That game, Rachel directed it. It was me, you, and
Tristan. Yeah. Perfection. Yeah.
Perfection. Thank you. Confession? No, not Confessions.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Yeah.
Well, there's just like little things like that on it, so I wouldn't quite.
What about your capstone film that you directed? I mean, that would totally.
I can't make that public.
Really? Why?
In case we ever want to do anything with it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So it's on there, but it's just private. You need a password for it.
Man,
that would be something I'd have to get together with Cameron about and talk to him about if he ever wants to do anything with this thing, with Isabella again. You know what I mean? Like if I ever went out of my way to make a director's cut, which I've been thinking about doing again because it'd be fun. We have so much footage that obviously you don't use.
Yeah.
So it all depends on where that kind of goes. I only directed it. Cameron has technically Compass has the rights, but professionally speaking, it's Cameron's film. It was he produced it. So it'd be his say if he wanted to say like, yeah, we can make this public on all of our social medias, or let's keep it private in case we decide to do something with it. Because the few festivals we put it in, we did pretty good. I think we put it in 2.
Okay.
And it showed at the USCA once, which was really cool.
Cool.
That was awesome.
Didn't you guys go up on stage and talk about it, or?
They kind of like asked us questions.
Okay.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. I don't remember going up on stage. I feel like they just kind of yelled, and we were like, "Hey."
Oh yeah.
No, actually, outside, before and after, maybe outside the theater, in the little lobby, people came up to us and asked us questions.
Okay.
So I think that was maybe the extent of it.
Yeah. Well, I still feel like recently I just inquired about Pieces of Sophie and After Coda.
Yeah.
And I
remember seeing your post about that. Whatever happened?
I have Pieces of Sophie I actually never got. I have After Coda though. I have that file. And I consider that mine. Like I actually got kicked off that set for having a beer on set. So, there was a lot of it that I missed. Yeah.
That's funny.
But that's still a film that I worked on, and I'm going to use it in a reel of some sort.
That's true. I guess I could use it in a reel. I guess in terms of your question on a website in Vimeo, is I can't actually show the entire thing to the public. So I could put it on my reel as something that I directed, even some of the sound I did in it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, I could show it in that sense.
Pick the best moments of like where Paul Rice followed your direction and like cut when some toys like float and they were on strings and he cut them out in post. That stuff was incredible, and I think that if you put that in a reel, even as your first or second clip, it would be highly impressive.
It would, but it also has to, relate to the reel. If I'm doing a sound reel and I'm showing something I directed, it's relevant. You know what I mean?
True.
So
I just bought myself a Mac during this quarantine because I was getting a lot of kickback from unemployment.
Nice.
Which I realized that I can continue to work and claim for what I don't make in up for, kind of like your dad going part-time and being able to claim like 10 hours and getting the grant, the $600 on top of that, because whatever you're getting in unemployment, you're going to get the grant. As far as I know. So I'm waiting for that. I just kind of made an awkward situation that didn't need to happen with my work. I don't think I'm going to get fired or anything, but I brought it upon myself and shouldn't have. Basically, I called in sick on Monday, and then they called me back 3 hours later with like COVID questions. And a couple of them I had to answer yes to. Like, I have experienced a cough in the last 14 days.
Sure. Yeah, you coughing or sneezing?
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah, dude. Probably allergies or something. And then they're like, well, now we need a doctor's note for you to come back to work at all. So we're not going to put you on the schedule.
Oh, really?
But they're also not laying me off. So I'm just like unpaid leave. Like,
it's really interesting. I never thought about that. You
Where
can't just call in sick anymore. It's either you got COVID or or you're not sick.
Yep.
Oh,
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, no, I hope that works out for the better for you.
Me too.
That's really interesting.
Well, I thought it was really interesting what you were saying about just being part of the restaurant industry and having to go back, because at the end of April, I had accepted, okay, we're going like all of May. We're going to do all of May, and I'm going to be getting $700 a week. That's fucking awesome. I'm going to be being able to like do all these podcasts and professionalize my Twitter. And like, I have 3 YouTube channels and 2 Instagrams, 2 TikToks, and just being able to like do all this work here at home.
Fun, man. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, that's dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. In the past year, I've been the worst friend to all of my friends that I've ever been in my entire life. not even kidding you, man. I have people like, yo, let's go play disc golf. Let's go play disc golf. And I just be like, no, I don't, no. Like, there's just, to not like get all sappy and emotional. The latest breakup really hit me hard, really hit me deep. And I kind of realized that you really do need to love yourself in this world, right? Like, you got to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, if you don't do things for yourself, you're going to fail. You're going to not go the place you want to go.
Sure.
And I had a beautiful relationship. I had a beautiful girlfriend. We had a beautiful life. But I kept procrastinating and not doing some of the things that I wanted to do that I promised that I would do. And that led to me going back into being single and essentially being homeless and pretty much starting from square one with things. And so I just had a brain fart. I'm really sorry. Yeah. Talk about something. I'll come back to what I was going for.
In the last year, I've been...
friends. How I hate my friends this past year.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I was just going through all that shit, and it was like, all right, if I keep doing things for my friends, if I keep saying yes to hanging out or yes to do this or whatever it might be, it's like there's just like it's more things taking me away from my daily life, and the thing that I've been needing to work on the most is me, right? Like, you can have the cute girl, you can have the dogs, you can have the cute house in the corner, like you can have, it's that whole thing of like money doesn't buy happiness and love, right? It's like you can be in love, you can think you have your perfect life, but if you don't love yourself, if you're not doing the things that you want to do, you're not going to get anywhere, and you're not going to be happy about it. If you do go somewhere, you're not going to do it happily. So I really made an effort to say, fuck everybody and fuck everything, and the world is mine, and this is what I'm going to do with it. So I've had a lot of friends get pissed. Like, dude, how come you don't want to hang out anymore? It's like, it's nothing against you. It's just the fact that I don't want to go out of my, like, even if I have a day where I'm like, I'm not going to do shit today. I'm going to get high off my ass and watch movies and play video games because I need a day to just fucking chill and not be around people. That's what I'm going to do. If you want to go play disc golf, go play disc golf. Like, don't get mad at me, right? Like, sure, I've been playing for like 15 years, but that doesn't mean I want to go and you want to go. So I've like really started to, if you will, hate my friends because, friends want to hang out. And then quarantine happened and it was like worse, man. It was like, man, like, let's go play disc golf. It's like, dude, we're not supposed to be out there, man. Like, there are people patrolling the parks. And it was like, why can't you just stay home? Like, you've got a girlfriend, you've got a wife, or like you still live with your family. It's just like, I live with a friend, but for all intents and purposes, I'm on my own. It was just like, for an introvert, for somebody who really likes my own space and like, I'm a very independent person, it's been nice not having any obligations to do anything with anybody or like anything at all. And yeah, dude, I've kind of had to say like, fuck off to a lot of my friends, respectively. Like, I haven't lost any of my friends to this. It's just like, you get to a point where you're like, okay, I matter, and you only matter if you're in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, we always have those friends who are going through shit. Like, you and I have helped through each other through a lot. And, you've always got those friends who you're never going to not help. But for new friends that come about or for new situations, sometimes you have to just kind of say no and let them figure it out and let those situations kind of take its own path without you getting involved. And for somebody like me, who's always been very, a helping person who always wants to help and be there for people, it's hard to say no and just do your own thing. Sometimes, like, it's hard to say no to your friends when they just want to hang out and they're like, well, you're not doing shit. It's like, no, you're right, I'm not doing shit, and I love it. And you're like, I just want to hang out with my dog, I just want to work on this project, or I just want to get, I want to brush up on some old notes. It's just like, taking a lot of time for myself has been amazing. Like, I'm about to turn 30 and I feel like I'm fucking 20 again, if that makes sense. Like, it's wild, man. The past 10 years have been the craziest roller coaster I've ever been on, and I'm just now getting to the top and falling down. So 30 is the new 20, if you will.
Absolutely.
I like, when you're 20 years old, you're like, 30's old. What do you mean 30's the new 20, dude? Like, for real, man. In 5 years, when you get to 30, hit me up. Be like, yo, I feel alive again. It's true. You go through a lot of stress in your 20s. You go from, a lot of people go from, being around their family 24/7 to moving out, to trying to figure out who they are as a person, to going to school, to getting jobs, maybe having to move back home. Like, there's a lot of stressful shit that happens in your 20s. Getting in relationships, getting out of relationships, getting married to people, getting divorced. Like, there's a lot of shit that happens in your 20s. And it's crazy because by the time I was broken up with last year, 28 years old, it was like, fuck, like, I feel so old. I finally got to the point where I wanted to be, which was to have a girl and dogs and my own room for my studio. Like, I had everything I wanted, but I just felt old. And it's because I was not doing enough for myself, right? And so take the rest of your 20s and, keep your head up, keep your eyes open, and just take that stress and just try to throw it out the window and just keep, like, moving forward. Because if you don't move forward, man, I don't know, you have to. I feel so much more alive now going through what I've been through in the past 10 years than I think I ever have.
Absolutely.
It's incredible.
I've watched you and my brother go through really hard times, specifically with women. And not to sound
so stupid when you think about it. How a fucking girl or guy, for that matter, whatever you may be, can just absolutely fuck up your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are such, like, as human beings, like, our individuality is so much more than we think it is, and we keep relying on other people for stuff. And it's crazy how a relationship can just either make or break things. It really is. How having that dependency on somebody can just, open your world or shut it the fuck down.
I've come to the conclusion that there isn't a woman for me right now, despite how much I would love one. There isn't one who deserves what I can offer just yet. I keep trying to give my
back off, bitches.
Yeah, no, exactly. I have to look at it like that. It's the whole part of, like, loving myself, loving my career, my pursuit of film and stand-up and digital comedy, digital drama, performing arts of any kind. Podcasting. You are my 13th podcast.
Nice.
And
wow,
I have one more tonight. I have 2 on Friday, 1 on Sunday. Like, I'm not stopping. I feel like once I get going, it will be easy for a woman to hop on the train.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, when you're not looking for something, it's gonna find you. It's kind of like when you drop, let's say you drop a. Have you ever worn contacts?
I have for about 6 months.
Nice. So it's kind of like contacts or like a screw from your glasses, right? It drops, and you're like, "Fuck, where'd it go?" And you're looking and you're looking. Even disc golf, you're looking and you're looking, and then you're like, "All right, I give up." And you take 2 steps to the right, and, like, there's your disc or there's the screw.
Sure.
Right? Like, when you forget about the things that you think matter, the right things come into play. So, and I think it's kind of the thing I had to realize with my ex was, we were great, and she was that perfect girl that I always wanted, so to speak. But she was that girl for that time, right? So for who I was at that time, for who she was at that time, she was that girl, I was that guy, and you go through those things and you learn from it and you move on. So whether or not there's a girl for you right now, even if you do meet one, don't lose yourself. Keep doing what you do. No matter who it might be. I mean, at the end of the day, we are our own person, and nobody else has control over our life other than us. So the right girl will come around when she comes around. It might not be tomorrow, might not be for 5 years, right? You might look like me and find yourself a girl, but
absolutely,
it's not something. And this goes even for a career too. Like, if you always want to be the best director in the world, you gotta understand that you gotta be the worst first, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just gotta do it, and when you just do things, they'll come. Like, things will just they'll happen. Everything will come into play. When you start rowing your boat down the river, you'll flow with it, and you'll go the direction you want to go. And the right fish will hop in and be your best friend. You know what I mean?
Totally. And I think for a situation of yours, to where you weren't necessarily loving yourself, pushing yourself, holding to the promises you had made to yourself and her, you're not like a moving train or a rowing boat. I think that there's stagnance there that can become very, if it's not moving, it becomes very boring to a woman. They become very bored easily. I sense that a lot with myself. I have a hard time in long form capturing a woman's attention.
Yeah, and that, in my opinion, goes for anybody. Um, Roommates, for that matter.
Yeah.
If they're not doing shit with their life,
Yeah.
it gets boring.
Mm-hmm.
If your director doesn't have any, has lost their sense of creativity, if you will, the films will start to get boring.
Sure.
Right? Like, it's real. Like, dude, it's really important to keep your head out of the gutter, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's hard, right? It's really easy to fall down. It's hard to get yourself back up.
Definitely.
It's really easy to fall down.
Oh yeah, it's easy to fall down and just stay down, dude.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just gonna like.
Fuck it. The guy. What else you got?
Seriously. And the funny thing, I wanted to bring this up as we kind of bring this to a close. We have about less than 10 minutes. I'm trying to keep them to an hour each, just to be fair to everybody. But I've never seen you as an opposing or of an opposing faith, even though you come from a very Jewish background and practice. I've always seen you as in the same position with your religion as I am in mine.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's also funny because you and I used to have a lot of really good heart-to-hearts about religion.
Absolutely. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Before we're done, man, is there anything that you've wanted to hit that we haven't yet? And I would not mind doing this again sometime if you want to have a part two.
Yeah, not even for a podcast, just for a regular talk.
No, dude, I don't want to talk to you just one-on-one. That's
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel safe around you. It would have to be recorded. Okay, so what are you watching recently? What's been your media intake?
I got into a bad hole on Netflix of like weird documentaries, like
okay.
Shit. So I started with "Don't Fuck with Cats."
I've heard of it.
I had no idea, dude. I had no idea what it was. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, why would I watch a documentary called "Don't Fuck with Cats"? Like, why? Because they bump shit off the desk. Like, why? So I started with that, and I was like, this is insane. Like, how many other crazy stories are there out there like this kid, like this guy? So then I started watching documentaries about people who are wrongfully jailed for stuff, people who were pulled into confession rooms after the crime was committed and stayed there for 10, 12 hours and just drilled by the cops and basically, to the point where they said you're not leaving until you confess. So these people who are innocent would confess to these crimes, and they're either in jail for life because they've already tried their 3-4 appeals, whatever it might be, and they didn't get it right, or they're still on trial or whatever it might be. So I got into that kind of hole, and then I started watching like the Ted Bundy tapes. I started watching I don't know, I started getting really into like murder shit. So I got into the documentary stuff.
Tiger King?
Past like couple weeks, I've just been watching random shit on Netflix. I watched Extraction, which was really fucking awesome. If you haven't seen that yet, I highly recommend it.
Jason Bateman?
No.
Oh.
Thor.
Oh, his new one.
Yeah, his brand new one on Netflix.
Okay.
Dude, there's a scene in there that I haven't researched it yet, so I don't know if it was actually one cut, but it's like 20 minutes long, and the camera is just following them through crazy shit, man. Just like explosions going everywhere. Chris Hemsworth's just beating people up, man, and it's just like it really was. It felt like I was watching Birdman again in the sense that like the camera just kept moving and just never cutting. It was wild. Like I was eating a sandwich and I was just like. So I do recommend it for sure. It's a really good. It's just a good action-packed film, but the cinematography is incredible. So I highly recommend that.
Wow. Okay. Tiger King. Have you watched?
Yeah, I did. I got through Tiger King. I didn't watch the newest episodes they put on recently,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I watched Tiger King. Dude, that was some amusing shit. Have you watched it?
I still haven't. No.
Watch it, man. It's amusing nonetheless. If nothing else, it's just highly entertaining. The shit people do in this world, man, is wild.
Yeah, I just know that there's like embezzlement and just all these crimes and misdemeanors and
Yeah, it is wild. You should
uh,
watch it. Another one that was really good was Murder Mountain. I think that's what it was called. It's about marijuana, like in LA, like
yes. Okay.
when marijuana was like a thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it followed particularly this one kid's story. I mean, it followed multiple stories, but it focused on a couple different people who went there to work and absolutely loved it and stayed despite of like the crime and shit like that they had to go through. So if you want like a really solid documentary about the marijuana business and where it all started and how it became what it is today, dude, that's an incredible documentary.
Cool.
Just seeing how those people's lives changed from when it was so illegal in California, well, anywhere, but specifically California, and how they made their day, to how legalization just completely fucked everything and actually hurt the industry more than it helped.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know if it's still on there, but if you can find it, it was really good.
Sure.
I learned a lot about the marijuana industry.
Wow. I don't watch enough documentaries. I'm sorry.
Me neither, man. Like for some reason, I always had something against documentaries. I think I always just enjoyed the thrill of a film.
Yeah.
The adventure a film would take you into, and so like sitting there and watching people talk about their life wasn't ever something that was intriguing to me. And I think when a documentary is done well, and not even necessarily like a film, but when they really throw the things at you they need to throw at you in the right way. Don't Fuck with Cats was a perfect example. They really make you think that like this happened and this happened and this person did this, and then they'll cut to this person and they're just like, no, that didn't fucking happen. Mm-hmm. Right? So like the way the documentaries are edited, if you will,
yeah, is
what gets me into them, because otherwise it's just people fucking talking.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of that. People are always like, well, what podcasts do you listen to? And no offense to anybody who listens to podcasts, and even as an audio guy, it's like I don't enjoy it. It's kind of the same thing with me for reading books. Like I'm an incredible reader. I could probably outread any of my friends, but I don't enjoy sitting there and just reading a book. And then people are like, well, how do you enjoy sitting in a theater and just like staring at a screen? I'm like, I don't know, it's different. And the funny thing is, like, if I read a book, I'll get into it like I do a movie, and it's fun. But
yeah,
sitting and like just listening to somebody talk about something has not always been intriguing to me, which is why I never liked documentaries. So the few that I found were done really well, and really kept you in the story, and they bring out the right facts to tell you and the right things to focus on.
Awesome. I am developing a documentary on the homeless of Salem and Portland right now with a friend of mine here.
Nice.
Trying to attack kind of what we would figure as the main sources for this problem. Like Portland will send their homeless people on one-way tickets to Salem, to where I live, on one-way bus tickets. Like, bye-bye, see you, get out of here. Because Portland promised housing to every homeless in the city. And then homeless from everywhere went to Portland, and there were like 6 people in one house and stuff. And
why wouldn't that happen?
Exactly. And I don't know how the word spreads like that amongst the homeless, but I'm sure that they're kind of a community in and of themselves. They probably know each other a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the homeless community, it's a group of people who run the same 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks.
Yeah,
they all see each other every day. You think about, like, at least for me back in middle school, you pass a note to somebody, right?
Yeah.
And then by the end of the day, right, 8 hours later, half of your friends know what the note said you wrote to your crush. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Word of mouth. I think word of mouth is extremely underrated. I
Totally.
think people don't take enough advantage of it, and I think people aren't scared of it enough, to be honest. Word of mouth is huge. I mean, if you think about anything, man. You think about, to go on the complete, you know, downhill spectrum. Think about a rumor, like a really bad rumor, how much it just spreads because people just hear it and they believe it, right? It's just, hey, did you hear this? Hey, did you hear
Right.
that?
Yeah.
As opposed to, hey, go watch that movie. It's really good, right?
Right.
Like I could say, hey, go watch this documentary about Collin. It's actually really cool in his life. Or I could be like, yo, Collin did this and this and this and this, man. Holy shit, I'm gonna go tell 10 of my friends, right?
Yeah. And they haven't even fact checked you at that
Yeah,
point, you know?
exactly. That's kind of the funny thing about this whole virus, man. It's like, um, there's just so much shit. There's so much propaganda around
Mm,
the internet right now. It's like, I it's hard to even trust people like the CDC. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
how do you try to research something that isn't being properly outputted to the public? You got people, the media is just so involved with themselves that it's like nobody wants to help each other. Everybody just wants to say what the bad things are, you know. Everybody's so caught up with just being home, they just want to get out of their houses. So let's all just, you know, fuck it, herd immunity. Like there's just all this shit going around. And it's like, look, I get people are bored. Like, you know, you've got people in terrible situations like domestic violence and shit like that. You've got people, you know, you've got kids who are living with their, you know, abusive aunts and uncles, and like, you know, you've got really bad situations for people to be in a quarantine for. But at the same time, you can't just reopen an economy. For one, you can't just reopen an economy, and you also have to make sure that people are going to be safe, right? Like you can't just say, fuck it, everybody's tired and bored, let's just open shit back up. Like you
Yeah.
got to do it safely.
Hmm.
It's like the interview I saw with the fucking I think it was the mayor of Las Vegas, and like, yeah, open it back up. We'll find ways to be safe. You know, I won't be around the casinos, and you're just like, how are you going to tell people to go live their daily lives, but you're going to stay home and you're not going to go out because you're scared of shit? So it's like there's this huge scale of like the people who want their normal lives back, but who are also scared of this virus, and then
Yeah.
there's the people who are like, I don't care what anybody's saying, I'm staying home until I know it's safe.
Yep.
And when those clash, you just get this utter chaos of shit that we shouldn't be hearing about. Like
Yeah.
the media, and obviously the media is, you know, poor in their own way, but with the things that they portray, there's too much opinion in media, in my opinion. As funny as that sounds, but it's just like, I want to know facts from the anchor. If I turn on the TV and you're sitting there telling me the news, tell me the fucking news. I don't care what your opinion is. Really don't. You can tell me your opinion if you want, but like, tell me the facts. That's what I want to know. You know,
Hmm.
you got everybody blaming everybody for shit, and it's just like, it's hard to figure out what is true about this virus, and it's scary. It's eye-opening in a government sense, but it's scary in a very real sense, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Um, and I guess on that note, um,
None of this is real.
yeah, no, I desire for your, um, as things open back up, I really hope that you're able to find the correct space, the correct income to both income and financial backing to like pursue a career in what your degrees are in, sound and cinematic arts. And I'm uh, I couldn't be happier that you're healthy right now and that you're able
Thank you.
to quarantine in a comfortable place and not technically be homeless, even though you might have, you know,
Man, I don't even
I see you
close
coming,
to a minute, but
I see you coming into light, you know, and I feel the same thing for me because I this past year hasn't all been roses for me. It's been a lot of learning and still bad decisions and putting myself through situations that really don't need to be in my life.
sure.
And I'm so happy to reconnect with you
Yeah, man.
and to consider you as still a potential film partner because we're going to reconnect. We just need to find some footing, and then we can come back as collaborators. So
yeah, absolutely, and it'll happen, man. I think on that note, that's a big issue right now. Is what happens when the world opens back up for people like you and me, who are in the restaurant but also trying to pursue a career.
yeah,
Like, what happens, right? We have to go back to society, but we also want to pursue these things we have to pursue. But then we're going back to the old society, right? I think the biggest scare for me, at least, is the want to not go back to the old society, the old economy, if you will, of like kids our age going to school and getting shitloads of money in debt and not being able to find a job to pay off that debt. Like, nobody ever should have to pay student loans for the rest of their life, right? Like, I'm 3 figures in debt. 3 figures. I'm 6 figures in debt. Shit, I wish I was 3. Here's $100 out of that. I wish I was 3 figures in debt. Shit. No, dude, I'm 6 figures in debt. Like, that's fucking outrageous.
Yeah.
I'm almost 30 years old, and I'm going to have that debt until I die unless I start making some really good money. And even then, you know, I bet you I'm going to have a family. The money's going to go towards my family, right? It's just like it's scary. It's scary to think about what's going to happen when we go back, you know, because we're getting this beautiful godsend, if you will, of finance, of look, you got to be home and not have a job, but like, here's a pretty good financial cushion for you. Like, here's what you should be making on an average basis in today's society. And, you know, people are paying their bills and shit like that. But it's like, when then all this goes back to normal, what's that going to be? Am I going to just be broke again? Right? Are all my friends who have taken this time like me and like you to do something with careers, are they just going to have to fall back into some old ways that we don't want to do? So it's, you know, it's scary. You know, I also hope that we can continue to pursue what we want to do, and that me and you and everybody that we know and love from Compass can make films and make some money doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I love my friends and I love my family, but I'm tired of working for free.
Yeah, dude. And I would never ask assistance of you on a project without being able to pay you something. Just
Yeah. And I would do it for free because we're friends, right? Like, that's such a big problem in the professional world, is you've got friends who want your professionalism, but they don't want to pay full price, right? And you've got friends who will pay full price, and you got friends who won't let them pay full price. And it's like, right now we got to pay full price and support our friends.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love you, dude.
And I love you too, man.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
Absolutely. Anytime.
I'm going to end this. That doesn't mean we need to stop talking, though, but
that's good.
I will at least stop the recording. But peace out, bro. Much love. Stay safe.